What is up, everybody? Skratch coming up with another Raid Shadow Legends video. We are currently on the test server, guys, and we have access at all the brand new champions that are going to get released tomorrow with the new patch. We do have access to the new Deterrence Mastery that got changed as well. We're gonna see if I have by any chance a team ready to give it a go now and see how he performs, or we're gonna leave it for another video because I honestly don't remember. But jumping over to the new champions, we're gonna go all the way down to the rare champions, which most probably they will be used for the fusion, guys. We have only 4 new rare champions, so I'm pretty convinced that we're gonna have to use 16 of them. We have Ordinator, we have Itinerant, I think that's how you say his name, Misericord, and we have Castigator. What are all these weird names, Plarium? Some of the champions, they look pretty badass. This one kind of looks in the icon like Raiden from Mortal Kombat, right? Literally exactly the same cup of tea. Now let's check out the skills quick. So this one right here attacks one enemy, 25% chance to place provoke, and he is HP based from the Sacred Order Magic Affinity. Holy Equity heals the ally with the lowest HP by 20% of this champion's max HP, then equalizes the HP levels of all allies and grants this champion extra turn on 4th turn cooldown. This sounds like a very powerful heal for a rare champion. I like that. We need to have some new good rare champions in the game. Passive receives 15% less damage from enemies under provoke. Pretty interesting. Bannerlord's Magic Affinity as well. And we have attacks one enemy 2 times, 15% chance to land decrease speed. Attacks all enemies, fills this champion's turn meter by 5 for each living enemy. Interesting. Places a counter attack and an increased attack buff on this champion for 2 turns. Kind of looks like a man if you're looking at the face, but hey, can't judge them. Ordinator, Dark Elf's Force Affinity. Attacks one enemy, 25% chance to land freeze. Attacks all enemies, 50% chance to place a bomb that detonates after 2 turns. When attacked, has a 30% chance of decreasing all bomb debuffs detonation countdown on the attacker by 1 turn. Pretty interesting, actually. I like that. Now we have Raiden left as well on the A1. Attacks one enemy, 30% chance to land leech. The chance increases to 50 if the attack is critical, and that's from the Shadowkin Force Affinity. AoE, 50% chance to land the small version of decreased speed, and 15% chance to buff the champion for 2 turns if the attack is critical. With the low version of increased speed, attacks one enemy, decreases the enemy max HP by 30 of the damage inflicted if the attack is critical. So far, this is kind of like the main rare that stands out. This heal seems like it's gonna be sweet. Definitely is gonna be good for progression. And this one seems interesting with the passive. The good part is it doesn't require books. Moving over to the epics. Now, we only have 4 epics as well, guys, which they're gonna be used for the fusion. I can't remember how good they are, so we're gonna check their skills quickly. We have the Masamoto, the Shadowkin, defense-based, Spirit Affinity, looks super awesome. Attacks one enemy 2 times, 10% chance to steal 1 random buff, and he needs a whole library! Sweet Jesus! Look at all those books, oh my god. The A2 attacks all enemies, 50% chance to land decrease attack. Definitely not worthy of all these books, only for an AoE attack down. And here, on a 4th turn cooldown, increases defense on all allies for 2 turns and fills the turn meter by 15%. This is a pretty good skill, but man, 7 books. And what do we have here? 15 books for this bad boy. The book requirement is pretty hardcore and not even 100% chance to land decrease attack. So I'm not feeling that good about this. Visionary, Dark Elves, Spirit Affinity as well, support champion, attacks one enemy, has a 30% chance to decrease the target's turn meter by 15. This chance increases to 100% if the target is under decreased crit rate debuff or decreased crit damage. The A2 attacks all enemies, 75% chance to land decreased crit rate, and decreased crit damage debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. This is the very first champion that does AoE decreased crit rate and crit damage at the same time. And here places a 30% increased crit rate buff and a 30% increased crit damage buff on all allies for 2 turns, and fills the turn meter of all allies by 15. On a 3 turn cooldown, this is on a 3 turn cooldown, fully booked, 6 books so far, 10 books. Now this is a champion that is worthy, is gonna help everyone for progression, guys. speed aura for dungeons by 24%, decrease everyone's crit rate and crit damage, increase yours. This is gonna be an awesome, awesome champion for progression. Moving over to the next two epics. Ube Toji, Shadow King, Magic Affinity, blah, blah, blah. Not that good with the names, guys. On the A1, attacks one enemy 2 times. Has an additional 20% chance of inflicting a critical hit if this champion is under a veil or perfect veil. On the A2, attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit will ignore 20% of the target's defense, has an additional 20% chance of inflicting a critical hit if this champion is under a veil or perfect veil buff. Interesting. And the A3 places a perfect veil buff and increased speed buff on this champion for 2 turns, then fills this champion's turn meter by 40. I wish this was granting this champion an extra turn. Like, this is not very viable. 4, 9, 11, 13 books. Whenever this champion is attacked, completely blocks 1 hit, decreasing the incoming damage to 0, then counterattacks with a default skill. I like this. This is an awesome, awesome passive. Super great passive. No damage taken, and you counterattack as well. That's such a good one. When attacked by a boss, decreases the incoming damage by 50% instead before counterattacking. On a 2-turn cooldown. I'm not very impressed with the rest unless it has pretty good multipliers, but this skill right here is awesome, and the book requirement is decent. Increases ally crit rate in all battles by 15. And the last champion that we have, Force Affinity from the Lizardman faction, guys, and we have defense based as well, attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 30% chance to place a provoke debuff for 1 turn if the target is under decreased speed. Places a 50% ally protection buff on an ally for 2 turns, then block debuffs buff on that ally for 1 turn. Also, places a shield buff on this champion for 2 turns equal to 20% of this champion's max HP. On the A3, attacks all enemies, 40% chance to land the stun debuff for 1 turn. The chance increases to 75 against enemies under decreased speed debuffs. And here, whenever this champion is attacked, or whenever allies under ally protection buffs are attacked, has a 30% chance to land a decreased speed debuff on the attacker for 2 turns. Pretty interesting. Runs pretty good in combination with the decreased speed. Ally protection increases ally defense in all battles by 25. I gotta say, not all of these epics are god tier, game changing, but they're pretty decent. I kind of like the most the one that buffs crit rate and crit damage and decreases it. I feel like it's gonna be very good for progression to carry you through dungeons and content. These are the epics for the fusion, guys. Would I skip the main legendary for any of these ones? No. And I'm gonna go straight to the fusion legendary, then I'm gonna showcase you the other 2 legendaries, guys. So this is our fusion champion, okay? Doesn't fit on the screen because it's a big one. We need 4, 6, 9 books in total for the fusion champion. Thank you. We are happy with that. Now, perfect veil on a 4-turn cooldown. Block debuffs increase defense on a 3-turn cooldown. Great for the Hydra clan boss, guys. I'm definitely gonna fuse it on my main account. Definitely gonna try it on the Hydra clan boss before I'm doing that. I would still suggest you, if you have the resources, save them up, get the fusion done, because it's gonna help you in the future on your Hydra progression. On the A1, we already know what he does, so I'm not gonna go through all his kit, guys. But I like the champion. Base stats, they are looking pretty tasty. 102 speed, 20k HP, 1.4k defense. He's a defense-based champion as well. 50 resistance, 10 accuracy. I would suggest you, if you have the possibility, to fuse him. Moving over to the last 2 legendary champions that got in the game. And boy, we got a tasty one on here. We got a tasty one right here. Glycea Soul Guide, Sacred Order, defense-based champion. And yeah, she does look awesome. Awesome design. I kind of wish like she was paired with Cardia, like having a combo together, because they literally look alike. I want to get the avatar in-game from this champion. On the A1, attacks 1 enemy, 30% chance to place a freeze debuff for 1 turn. Also applies a debuff spread effect, taking 1 random debuff from the target and placing it on all enemies under freeze debuffs. Definitely a good combo with freeze champions. Kind of feel like this is supposed to be the fusion, but then they changed it with the champion for the Hydra clan boss just to help out the community with a perfect Veil champion. I might be wrong, but I think they deserve the credit for it, because this kind of looks more like the winterish Christmas sort of champion that would come in the team over the other one, you know. On the A2, attacks all enemies, places a weaken debuff for 2 turns, also steals 1 random buff from each enemy under a freeze debuff. AoE on a 3-turn cooldown, pretty good. We need 7 books so far, 10 in total for this champion, very good as well. The A3 places a block debuffs buff on all allies for 2 turns, also has a 60% chance of placing a freeze debuff on all enemies for 1 turn, fills this champion turn meter by 15 for each freeze debuff placed by this skill. That goes up to 80% chance fully booked on a 4-turn cooldown. Pretty good. But what we have interesting, the creme de la creme, the passive, okay? All of you guys are scared of Warlord in Arena. Well, should I attack Warlord? No. This champion skill cannot be put on cooldown. Whenever an enemy tries to put either this champion skill or an ally skill on cooldown, places a freeze debuff on that enemy, also has a 50% chance of denying the cooldown increase effect. And that works for your entire team. You have a 50% chance to counter Warlord like that. Is this the best counter for Warlord? Is this gonna kill Warlord? No. But it's a decent mechanic. I would have loved if this champion would have been like a turn meter booster, a crazy buffer that buffs attack up, or something like that to support the team even more than it does. And then we would have been able to run this champion more often in offense. Like this, we're not really gonna rely on this champion for offense teams, at least in the current meta for Arena. And we're not gonna run it in defense because people, they're just not gonna use Warlord against it, you know? So it's not really gonna be a game changing in terms of that, but it's a pretty nice champion. I love the mechanic on the passive. The aura increases ally resistance in all battles by 60. Pretty good base stats as well, especially defense 1.5k, 100 speed, decent HP. And we have the last champion, guys, Kulur. This is looking awesome. He's gonna be the champion to empower Ramantu. Void Affinity looks pretty interesting, but again needs a lot of setup, and I don't think he is worthy of the title of Void Legendary Champion for 2021. But he looks awesome. Awesome design. Attacks one enemy, 50% chance to land the sleep debuff for 1 turn. We need 4 books in there, 5 in there, 9, 11 books, 15 books in total. The A2 attacks all enemies 2 times. The first hit has a 75% chance to land a 5% poison debuff for 4 turns. The second hit has a 75% chance to land defense down for 3 turns. This skill is very powerful. Yes, it is worthy of being a Void Legendary skill. You know what I mean? But I'm not that happy with the rest because he really needs a setup, kind of like the same thing with... what was the name of the one that came with Vlad for the Halloween? The other champion. I literally forgot his name right now. Sacred Order. This one attacks one enemy, then attacks 1 time at random. If the target is under a poison debuff, will ignore shield, block damage, and unkillable buffs. Will not ignore defense, so I'm not sure if the multipliers are solid. He will be able to deal a bit of damage. Grants an extra turn if this attack kills an enemy. Also resets the cooldown of the Venom Storm skill if this attack kills 2 enemies. The passive instantly attacks enemies with a default skill whenever they receive damage from 1 poison debuff placed by this champion. When hitting enemies under poison debuffs, heals this champion by 10% of the damage inflicted. So he's not trash, don't get me wrong. I don't feel like the champion is bad. I just feel like he needs a bit of a setup, and I don't think how many of the people will be super hyped to get this as a Void Legendary, but I guess he's okay as a Void. Let's just say he's not bad. He's okay as a Void champion. I like the AoE defense down, the poison for 4 turns. I like this if he hits hard. We gotta see the multipliers. And the aura increases ally attack in all battles by 33%. When looking at the base stats, this kind of like HP super low. Attack is pretty good. Defense pretty good for an attack champion. And the rest of the base stats, they're good. It's left to see what sort of damage he's gonna deal. I love the champion design. Super awesome design, guys. That was all for this video. Do let me know in the comments down below which one is your favorite. What do you think of all these champions? And I'll catch you soon on the next video. Peace!